Unit 11 Clan Project, The Beginner's Guide to Instant Furniture, a Somers Town Community Association collaboration with CSM. This collage really depicts the journey of my product from when the waste stream was created right up until the use of the consumer. This shows a hero image of my outer packaging and the inner box components as well. So beginning this project, we spent the first 2 to 3 weeks working as a group. This involved us scoping the project and also speaking to all the different stakeholders involved. And this group work can be depicted on the project map with the red circles at the beginning. And the green circles are the co-design touch points of when I had direct feedback about my product with the STCA youth. So the main vision of this project is to engage the youth members from STCA into designing circular products with us that will add value to the waste stream sourced locally from Camden, therefore generating a secure revenue stream that the youth can benefit from as this project moves forward. So the brief I designed is to create a DIY kit that enables families to create pieces of inflatable furniture whilst reaching goals of creative gratification at home. So initially meeting the kids in Somers Town Community Association, we had different engagement workshops with them. The first involved us just making pizza with them and getting to know them more individually, finding out some of their likes and their interests. And in the second workshop we came up with a design challenge and we asked the youth to create ways to transport water from one bucket to another with materials from the recycling bin. And this helped introduce them to some problem solving and design thinking techniques. As to give us a clearer vision of the typical Buck Street customer, we spoke to the manager of the market. We found out the typical customer is between the ages of 25 and 35, and they usually have a prominent interest in sustainability. They are usually out to spend around 30 to 40 pounds on an item from the market. And he also noted the importance of regenerating Londoners to Camden, as it's currently such an overly populated touristic area. So the summary of my project: since there's been such a surge in Londoners taking on DIY projects from within the home due to these current isolation rules, I thought it was important that I recognise this climate and try and tap into the DIY market. This led me on to looking at similar competitive products currently out there, like the Burr Conductive Touchboard Kit, Sculpt at Home Pottery, and a silicone mould for creating kitchenware, and these are all priced in the range between £30 to £40. This then led me in the direction to speak to numerous different families around London and chat about their experiences with isolation and how this current climate has got them more interested in DIY projects around the home. The majority I asked stated that family participation was really important, as they're seeing this as a time for bonding with each other. Another important factor was many people don't know where to start with these DIY projects, as there's so much out there. So being presented with the exact tools and instructions needed to create something would sustain their interest a lot more. So the insights and opportunities gathered from these interviews was that there has been a 60% surge in homeowners in London taking on first-time DIY projects, but a lot of these projects are left unfinished as some of them don't have the adequate tools or skills to finish them. They want some sort of sense of instant gratification from undergoing these projects. So I aim to discover how I can provide first-time DIY goers with an interesting project while providing them interesting tools and instructions to complete it. As we entered week 4 of our project, this is when the first isolation rules were really put into place, meaning we had no longer access to the youth centre to engage with the youth in a physical setting anymore, and this forced us to come up with new ways that we could still meet the co-design requirements that this project needed. This therefore led us to launching our TrashCon London Instagram campaign, in which we engaged with the youth virtually. We designed weekly competitions we would share public to our stories, which would involve the youth sending us direct messages with a sketch of their designs based on the 3 prompts that we uploaded that day. These prompts included a material, a process, and a context, and the youth would come up with an idea based from this. These prompts were based off our own individual waste stream research. For example, my prompts were waste plastic, the process of melting, and the context of the kitchen. I then chose the top 3 out of the 13 entries and uploaded them 3 to the main page and asked the following to like their favourite design. This informed us of the winner, who received a £10 Amazon gift voucher. The winner of the competition designed a kit for melting plastic at home. This therefore informed my process of coming up with my four initial concepts. The first concept I tackled was utilising the waste that comes off injection moulding machines and forming this into valuable objects. Secondly, I looked at how I could use a technique similar to glass blowing to distort waste plastic PVC pipes to create bulbous forms for vases. Thirdly, I looked at ways to utilise domestic plastic waste and create a recycling system in which they can create circular products from. The fourth concept was the one I ended up taking forward, which is where I examined ways to manipulate waste inner tubing to create inflatable pieces of furniture. This led me into the next turning point of the project, which was discovering the unsafe measures of melting plastic at home. I then revisited my previous waste stream concepts and insights from the Instagram campaign entries to come up with a new direction. My new direction was focused around three main waste streams located in the Camden Borough. Waste inner tubing from large vehicles, as there's difficulty recycling these when a tyre is replaced. Also, climbing rope from climbing centres due to these being used a lot, which causes the ropes to wear down, therefore they need replacing quite often due to safety measures. And these would be the three main components that would be involved in my kit later on. The project ecosystem shows the many layers that ripple beyond this project on how these different stakeholders affect one another as the project moves forward. For example, once the youth member visits the waste room establishments, they will build up relationships with the staff members there, which could result in a possible job prospect beyond this project for them. This stage of the project saw me experimenting with the inner tubing itself. I had to fully understand the possibilities of how this material could be inflated and manipulated. As it was going to be furniture, it needed to be somewhat safe and also comfortable. I used techniques similar to balloon modelling by twisting and pulling different sizes of inner tubing to create these experimental forms. And these are my contacts collages of where I see these pieces of inflatable furniture being used throughout the home, whether that be for some comfort at your desk or while you're lounging in the sun in your garden. The third turning point in the project is where I came up with a method in which I could obtain elements of co-design participation from the youth members. How was I going to get them more involved with the creation of my DIY kit while we were still in isolation? This pivot led me on to creating miniature test kits, which I then had posted out to the homes of 7 members of STCA. The instructions in the kit informed the youth to come up with experimental ideas of inflatable furniture at their own imagination. From these tasks, it would inform me of the correct manipulation materials that I would need to include in the final kits. I asked the kids to feed back to me the positive and negative experiences on how they would improve or change the kit in the future. This vital co-design touchpoint involved the youth uploading videos of their experiments to TikTok, as this was a previous engagement insight I picked up on earlier in the project. Due to the high numbers of TikTok users within the youth centre, I found this to be an exciting way to get them engaged with the feedback of the kit. We were able to have FaceTime feedback sessions where we discussed improvement opportunities for the kit. The advice that I took forward was to print the instructions into the inside of the packaging, which would reduce the clutter with inside the box, to replace the zip ties with something a bit more durable, like climbing rope, and also to make the sample instructions in the kit more visual as they were difficult to understand as just a paragraph of words. This advice helped me to take on further. The co-design feedback that the youth had given me prior informed me throughout the stages of the creation of the kit prototype. I created a cardboard version of a book box which would enable me to place each of the components in an organised way on each side of the fold-out panels. This enhances the experience of opening the box and not to be greeted by poorly organised contents. The instructions, made graphic, were printed into the inside top panel to give the user options to create an example before doing something original. The design language shows the inspiration behind the packaging, from the resealable foil bag to the panels opening on the book box. The outer packaging shows in detail the graphics that would be printed onto the front, noting that it is a product of STCA. The inner box packaging states which type of instant furniture kit it is in the white writing at the top. This one, for example, says 5-step rocking chair. So opening the box on the side, it reveals a short description of the idea behind the kit and the whole project. It also shows an image of the kit in use. And at the top it says just add air because this kit does require a bike pump to inflate these objects. And opening the kit, you can see that all the manipulation tools are neatly arranged inside and that the instructional graphics are printed on the lower bottom side of the kit, and then a sample image of what the kit can actually make at the top. This map shows how my kit will influence the user's behaviours about the perception of reusable materials and their interest in DIY projects. It begins with their first initial interest in a DIY project and their attempts trying some of these at home. It shows their frustration and their pain points with not being able to complete these to the best of their ability, not having the adequate tools needed. This finally shows when the user purchases my kit achieving the gratification that they seeked. Their interest in the kit will consequently reduce their environmental impact. The additions of this project show my extra ideas on how to improve the purchasing experience for a customer at Buck Street when buying my kit. I would want to introduce a live demonstration aspect to the stall in which I would have members of STCA creating pieces of instant furniture live for the customers of the market. Here shows my future development of how I would improve the project moving forward. I would introduce a range of these kits to create different pieces of instant furniture for the home. So here states my reflection on the different lessons that I learned throughout this co-design project. It's important that when working with teenagers in particular to set out really clear guidelines for them to draw out ideas from that are going to really inform your insights later on in the project. Also, more doing rather than talking really let some of them interesting ideas come forward. Thank you for your time. Please refer to my technical package for the print files, service map, packing instructions, and also the costing and cash flow.